new deck for me. So I'll just kind of get right into it. I'll do the general aspects of the cards and then I'll get into the clarifiers here as well. But right now, I just want to mention that what I'm looking at is, in short, there's a deep transformation of sorts going on. I feel like you have some elements of feeling stuck, as though you can't move forward. I do feel like there may be some competition, some jealousy, that kind of thing going on around you, but I feel like you are standing your own or holding your own in some respect. And of course, we've got some outcome cards here, which I'll kind of glaze over here in a minute. I don't want to give away the outcome yet. So clarifiers, of course, I do feel like there's sort of a charismatic energy, or at least the potential of that. This could be dealing with somebody who is Leo energy here as well. Does seem to be something in around the home front, and certainly independence and money, those kinds of things seem to be primary focus. We also have you in the space of trying to focus on your manifestations. So you're really in that space of trying to move something ahead. So that's in the short. And then in the long, of course, I also have other cards here as well that I will pull forward, which are advice cards. And I also have the literary tarot deck cards here as well, which I'll go into in a second. And the other ones here, I'm sorry guys, I'm not as organized as I'd like to be right now. This is the Wisdom of Avalon cards, and these will be the advice cards. So we'll get into those in a little bit here. Okay, so first card's out. Okay, when we're talking about the death card, of course, there is a deep transformation, as I mentioned, I feel going on. Because the Queen of Wands is really powerful sort of energy. So this is someone who does have that archetype of being very confident, bold, and certainly very creative kind of person, someone who is able to operate in a very independent way. And I see independence coming through this reading in numerous cards. So I feel like that is kind of the message about being independent, being assertive, being, it depends on the angle that we're looking at it. So we'll just kind of look at it for the first part here about sort of, I might jump back and forth about career-oriented paths. So this is a time for you to be tapping into your inner creativity and really using a lot of your motivation, your actions to move something ahead. However, when I say that, I would say, because this is more of a secondary card and the death card is really the main motivation, this card tells me that there is a challenge around you getting ahead or moving forward. I feel like that is more than one card here indicating that you're feeling held back. You're feeling demotivated in some way. And until you're able to really grow into this space of, being brave and moving into a form of action, battling for the things that you want, and whether that battle is still on an internal basis, because I see a lot of cards here showing that you're kind of operating in an independent way, or solely, or you feel like there's maybe not a lot of support necessarily, but overall, again, we're just in the beginning sort of chapter of the card here. So again, what I'm still seeing is there's a self-discovery going on, because you're still in a deep transformation, and it's fairly significant one, especially when I see the card of Leo out here as well with that Queen. I feel like this is, or at least Leo standing out here for me. But there's definitely something that's going to be an uncomfortable change. And I don't feel like you're in a space where you're liking this journey of self-discovery. So I don't feel like this is a space of, it's personal growth for sure, but I don't feel like you're enjoying the journey at this point anyway. And again, I do feel like with that Hangman card, I mean, that's still sort of speaking to feeling a little bit thwarted in your actions. So maybe there have been some sacrifices around the home front, or around people that you consider family or tradition, anything like that. But there's definitely some kind of sacrifice of some sort. And again, there's more than one card here that speak to releasing an expectation, releasing, something that you feel should have taken place but has not. So, and I feel like because of that, there's a bit of a defeatist sort of attitude here with that Five of Wands. You're still fighting, you're still battling, there's still changes occurring. But this is still a place where you need to let go of the control and just kind of go with the flows to some extent here. I feel like there's a certain, lesson that comes with the hangman as well, that you are trying to control something and that's leading you to be stuck, because you're trying to achieve something. You want to go forward. There's a lot of creative energy that's here, but it's like you can't move forward because you again, there's an expectation of how you feel things should be going. And this is just a reminder, you're not alone on that journey. A lot of us are still sort of going in that same space, and you just kind of have to allow for a little bit of the smaller successes, to take place, meaning celebrate the small successes, because there's a pause, and it's a deliberate pause for you to slow it down and really take a look around you, because there may have been a lot of action that you were pushing through on previously. And now this is a time for you to say, it's a reminder, slow it down, you know, build on a little bit of your network or your community, take a moment to enjoy the fruits of your labor, that kind of thing, because this is the present moment. And it feels like you have not been somehow in that present moment in some way, because you have to let go of control. Again, you need to, with the Four of Wands, this should be a time of celebration and connection, but I feel like you feel like you're in a timeout, or there's a pause, or there's a situation where you need to stop and reflect on something or change your perspective, something like that. But the cards definitely do indicate that there is some form of, uh, again, sort of stop and smell the flowers or smell the roses or whatever, embrace the moment, So there is a sense of wisdom that comes with that as well when you do stop and slow down, because when you are in that space, you can really reflect on where you are, what you're trying to control. And you're also in that space of really realizing, what it is that you actually want out of your life. And what, instead of placing conditions around how people should be or how things should be, this is that space where you are told to really, or asked to, invited to, again, take a pause and really realize what it is that you're motivated by. Because sometimes, as a Libra, you would be a little on the self sacrificing and doing a lot more for other people and less for yourself. And so I think this is a moment for you to um, really reflect, because there's a deep transformation that you're going through that really says, what do you want? What do you want to move forward on? What do you want to take action around? This is the pause. This is the space. This is part of that journey. And, the journey is filled with ups and downs. So you just have to take it as it goes. Um, but again, you'll appreciate the journey more when you actually have a moment to kind of reconnect with yourself, reconnect with your world. So the card of the Five of Wands, again, this can be a contentious card because it definitely speaks to, things or changes that need to take place. But there's also disagreements very close to the home front here, very close to inner struggles as well. And it definitely speaks to, could be struggles around money or independence, anything along that line, or financial stability. So that could be all or part of the package here. But there's definitely some kind of focus on security and stability in life. And that is where I see a lot of that focus. The Five of Wands, like I said, there's a change that needs to take place here and able to make that balance, and able to create balance for yourself. And I feel like there's a little energy around not feeling grounded or not feeling stable for whatever that is for you. Maybe your inner spark and life has kind of tanked a bit here. And this is why you're in that energy of trying to mastermind something here, because you've got the Queen of Swords, and you've also got the Magician. So you're in a space of really trying to figure out what makes you happy, what it is that you really want to change in your life. But again, there's a lot of introspection. There's a lot of independent thinking about how to overcome challenges and goals. Um, there is also, again, lots of focus around trying to stabilize that home front. The card of the Magician and the Queen of Swords, and again, I'll kind of repeat all of this a little bit with more detail, but certainly this is, I see creativity here. I do see, somebody who's trying to create the life they desire for sure. But it's done with intellect, and it's done with trying to be clear in your communications. It's done with trying to get clear on what it is that you actually want here. So it's almost like there may be a plan, or there may be something that you had in mind, but it seems like that vision somehow has, you're questioning the vision maybe of, or there's a struggle to attain it in some way, and that's kind of setting you back, and you're trying to be practical about it. You're trying to create the vision at the same time, but it's almost like you have to transform some of those things into practical actions, because you just seem to be, with the magician, it's also kind of a cautiousness that comes through there, about trying to, you're trying to move yourself toward the right decision or the right action. And I feel like this is maybe where some of the struggle is, and maybe you're becoming too blinded on some of the minutia or some of the other factors that your goal has fallen to the wayside in some way, or your sense of purpose in some way is, you're trying to overthink it, or you're trying to figure out what it is that you need to do, because there's a struggle here, like you're not feeling like you actually can move ahead. So there's some kind of practical decision or skill set or something here that needs to be kind of balanced out in some way, and able to sort of steer yourself into that direction. Okay, so all right, so again, as I said, Death card is certainly speaking to a lot of changes that are going on under the wire here. The Death card does speak to, and especially too with the Magician, I mean, there's lots of cards here, even though this is more of a clarifier, but the Magician is really trying to understand how to implement all of the skill set. And so, you're really doing a lot of, uh, putting a lot of consideration toward that. I feel like there's energy around moving forward, but it's almost like I don't know, you're fighting maybe something, you're fighting something. And it definitely feels like there is, a new beginning that is about to start, but you're at a pause point, and that's because you're trying to find a deeper understanding about what it is that you actually need, what it is that you actually want, and I feel like this can be that energy around, I need to make things right within myself before I can, I can bring others around me, or implement some kind of action. Because like I said, the Hangman is a sacrifice, and it does mean that there's something here that you're going to have to give up that may be around the home front. But there's also a delay of some sort. And it's also about thinking about, where to invest your time, of course, and making sure it's a wise investment. But I just feel like you're unable to, I don't know if it's almost like you're unable to move forward, like I said, because there's something that is either resistance, or there's a stall, or there's an indecision or something here. Because like I said, the Five of Wands still indicates that there's something that has to change in around money before something kind of happens here. The Five of Wands for sure is that card. Fives are all about change, but it's almost like the activity itself, like I said, it's everything, it's something to do with the practical energy around it anyway. Because like I said, the Death card is so strong, and so is the Hangman. These are major arcana, and further out you have the Chariot, and I'll get into that one here afterward. But that definitely speaks to, you're not feeling, it's not, I don't even want to say unhappy around home front. It's almost like you're just not feeling like something is meeting your needs, in around the home front, and maybe in terms of even a career. But I feel like you're not really dealing with a higher organization or anything like that in this particular read in the next 2 weeks. It's almost like there is a period of a connection, even in a family situation, that is halted, stagnant in some way. It feels like, there's a tough time here, as well as in terms of money. There's still something that's kind of ungrounded energy here that's kind of being battled. But like I said, I mean, there is a lot of positive cards here, but there's just a lot of things that you really need to kind of negotiate within yourself before you kind of take a step forward. Because that Nine of Pentacles, like I said, that's going to be a time where you actually are feeling more secure, and where you are feeling more independent. It definitely is lots of cards around financial stability and things, kind of moving in the right direction, but it's almost like you're just not quite there. So it does predict kind of that financial reward, for your efforts further out. You're just not in that space where you can confidently feel like you're in that space. Queen of Wands, again, as I mentioned, that's still in around that energy of, somebody who's quite organized, or a counselor, or, so some of you may be kind of dealing with that, or there's also the sign of Aries that kind of comes through here. But I just feel like this is about you trying to be more self-aware, and it definitely feels like you want your ideas to flourish, and you want friendship and family ties and all of those things. But right now it just feels like, especially too when we've got two queens in here, there's almost like a rivalry of some sort. It doesn't have to be between females, but it can certainly be around um, people that are jealous or something along that line. So, but I just feel like there's a lot here around your stability that is you're kind of battling right now. Because that message, like I said, is that with the Five of Wands, you're really trying to defend your battles here. You're really trying to defend yourself. There is a lot of disagreements on the home front and in around some kind of, could be even, I don't want to say court documents, but I mean something contracts, or something around contracts where there's not a lot of camaraderie here. This is where, something is almost, it's to the negative a little bit, where there's, you know, like I said, Five of Wands is really kind of a struggle. This is where you need to focus anyway. So I won't rattle on about that. But I would just say, when I look at the Five of Wands, this is where I think you need to focus on making the changes and able to unstick yourself, so to speak. So fives, of course, are about, a new cycle that's going to be happening here. It is going to be some kind of adjustment before you can progress. And there's a certain amount of uncertainty that goes with the Five of Wands here as well. So again, if we were to kind of break it down, this is about, trying not to engage in unnecessary battles. Don't allow you know, don't allow other people to kind of steal your, uh, because it's turning into an obstacle for you, and it's setting you apart from your goal in some way. So that's why I say you want to take the time and the space to really small things, to appreciate your time and your energy and the things that you want to do, because these small petty arguments are the things that I feel are a part of your, it's holding you back, it's holding down your energy, and I just feel like it's moving you in the wrong direction. So again, fives are all about a change. It does feel like you don't feel appreciated. It's like some kind of a challenge, even in terms of a business front. But again, it still feels very closely around family or stability for sure. But I just feel like you feel like everything's a battle, everything's a competition. You're trying to avoid the conflict, I feel, by isolating yourself here. But it just feels like you are rising to the challenge. You are in a lot of positive cards here, but I just feel like the message is don't panic, because you've got a lot of strategy that's going on here. But it just feels like you're a little stressed out, and you need a break, is what I would say there. And even on a spiritual level, I feel like this might be time for you to change up your normal routine and just make something happen for you that is really looking after regrounding yourself in some way. So we'll get right into, again, the cards of the Magician. I mean, that's that space of really trying to make something happen, wishes come true, that kind of thing. It is more the clarifier to the Queen of Swords. So like I said, I mean, this is where you're in that space of, trying to listen to spirit, but also, keeping yourself open for enlightenment, to get those answers. So I feel like this is where, you're going to have some connection to that in the next couple of weeks. So I just feel like whatever those challenges are, I just feel you will have some answers coming through here with the Magician. You do have a lot of competencies with the Magician. This is definitely, like I said, even in terms of a romance, I would say that, again, stuck energy, or a lot of arguments, a lot of battles, could be even some communication distance but you're still trying to manifest this person. You're still trying to bring this in for yourself, or trying to bring in um, some kind of communication. So something here again with hard or difficult words, or distance of some sort here. Like I said, I feel little squabbles going on in the next couple of weeks, but it's not harsh enough to create big divides. It's more about your interpretation and how it's affecting you on some internal level. Um, I feel like you could be, like I said, because the magician really has a lot to do with, the power to make changes. I feel like your communication is really what you're trying to focus on, how to communicate better in a way that is effective so that you can move forward. So it's almost like that is also part of the focus, because I see all these disagreements. I see a lot of inaction right now. It's like you want to take action, but there's not a lot going on as far as like big strides and changes, nothing like that, at least for the next 2 weeks, because that hangman energy, like I said, is still where I feel like you're a little unsure of your next move. Like I said, I mean, it feels like there could also be sort of that there's a pressurized sort of situation here. Like it's something where you're soul searching, or you're feeling trapped by something. There's a certain level of unhappiness or hesitancy to move ahead and find what it is that you're looking for. So I think that you really have to really take stock of what's going on around you, and what you feel you can do and what you feel you can't do, and what you feel you have to risk and what you feel you have to sacrifice. But I feel like whatever that shift in your perspective is, I feel like those decisions are going to have to be things that revolve around what you need, versus what other people need. I think this is the time where you're just too, something is kind of out of your range to affect, so it has to come from within you. So, and able to create something for yourself, I feel like you have to again release, some kind of control that maybe you were trying to, um, execute over the situation, because this is a death and a regenerative card here as well. So, again, there's change that's required, and it's more than one level of change. It's internal change, but with the Five of Wands, there's almost a level of change that you need to kind of separate yourself from, which I feel like you are for the most part. But it's also about kind of looking at, what are the things that scare you here, so that you can breathe again, breathe life back into parts of yourself where you've been letting, where you're letting go of some of the familiar, and able to, kind of make a safe passage through something. So there is a transformation, like I said, taking place, even though it's at a deeper level and there's not a lot that you are, metamorphosizing in a physical way. It's more of an internal sort of situation. So I'll get to those final cards here in just a few minutes. What I want to start out with is, again, how you feel about yourself. So with the death card is you feel like you're in a space of deep transformation. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna let air in here. Okay, so I do feel like you're in that space. Like I said, the magician is also, power and control over something. So I feel like you're in a space where you need to try to, sorry guys, where I feel like you need to try to, strategize something. Like you're definitely focusing on the mind, because that Queen of Swords tells me that deep transformation, you're in your head, but you're definitely a very strong metamorphosizing, energy around you. I definitely feel like you are in a space where you're clear-headed, like you're aware of what's going on. There's a lot around, trying to stay, I don't want to say indifferent, but you're a quick thinker. I just feel like you're quite perceptive at this time. It also feels like you're in that space where, you just, you're getting clarity, like you're getting through some difficult situations. This is where you're actually starting to take a look around you and manifest. Like you're really starting to put some time and attention into that in this next 2 weeks. This is where you start to resolve those day-to-day problems. This is where you're starting to, figure out, transform yourself and understand your life. And it's really about understanding those decisions and your actions about moving forward. So either way, I feel like you're renewing yourself on some level. There is also some aspect of counseling that might be coming through here as well, but there's definitely a sense of Could be even a get together, but maybe this get together you're just in reserve about. You're not really sure because this is further out. But it's almost like you're just not sure about how you will, present in a situation. It's like you feel like it's going to be conflictual, or you feel like it's going to be you just don't want to move on it, is what I would say here. But definitely the swords are definitely, again, could be a social gathering, but if there is, uh, thank you guys. Sorry, I was just reading your comments. Thank you for it. I appreciate your comments. I really do. And yeah, and I have some other good ones here that I'll be getting into here as well. But like I said, I still feel like you're in that space where you can really move yourself ahead, but it is going to take some time where you have to really think out your actions. So I feel like you are getting into that higher space because the Queen of Swords really is somebody who has clear thought, thorough planning. There's a lot of success that comes out of somebody who is able to, you know, manage their time well and be effective in negotiations, that kind of thing, because this is where you organize, this is where you strategize, this is where you have all of those. um, you can argue well, argue your point well, you can deal with issues, but you're doing it in such a logical way. It's not one of anger and out of control. It's just something around that spirit of seeing that there's going to be some pitfalls, able to navigate through it. Um, so we're going to get right into some of the other ones here. Yeah, you're right. I should definitely do the lotto numbers. I need those too. I'll work on that one for maybe the next ones here. But anyway, when we get into the Queen of Swords, like I said, I just feel like this is you, and you're starting to feel coming out of something. You're just feeling like you are a lot more empowered. I'm not saying that you're very, very independent in this next 2 weeks, very protective, and I would say that a lot of self-reliance. I just feel like, I don't want to say social isolation, but certainly you're feeling a lot more like you're doing things on your own anyway. Very independent that way. Um, the Queen of Swords is also, somebody who's quite knowledgeable. So whether this is you, continuing to build on a level of skills, it's also someone I feel that's kind of, again, it can be a little sharp tongued, but also for the most part, I feel like whatever the battles are, I feel like you're going to pick and choose them wisely, because there is a lot of deliberation where you're stopping to really think about something before you act on it or before you say something. So you might even be keeping your opinions to yourself, especially around the home front, that kind of thing. Not a lot of overt energy there, like I said, but there is still elements of control, more so around your own behavior or that kind of thing. But I feel like you're really acting on your own ideas, your own values, this kind of thing in the next short while here, because like I said, there's a lot of strong energy around being perceptive. I feel like your finances are fairly stable, even though there is some inner battles here. With that five energy, but that five of wands is still in that more competing spirit versus, I don't see loss. It's more of an energy of competing for something. So you're putting a lot of energy into like a rivalry, or, maybe getting your own time. Maybe you're kind of pulling away and you're trying to do it in a strategic way, but it's almost like you have to battle for that a little bit here. The fives, like I said, are still in around kind of even secret competition where somebody might be, working against you. But again, you have the upper hand in so many cards here. I just don't see that being an issue. There's also, where I feel like you're kind of still in that space, where, like I said, there might be some sense of sacrifice that's required here. And again, maybe it's because you have to pull away and able to kind of get right with yourself or whatever. But either way, there's a certain element of stress here that's still kind of coming in. But I still feel like you have the upper hand in a lot of cards. Okay, so we're going to get to those final cards out there. And these ones are the Chariot. The Chariot is an excellent card, and of course I do have the clarifiers below that. Maybe I'll pull that forward this way. So the Chariot is, of course, a card of really being on top of something. I will say this. I didn't actually, get it. Maybe I should just kind of go through this part really quick here too. The way that I kind of pulled these cards is how you're feeling about yourself is that you're in some kind of a deep transformation. What you want most right now is you want a certain sense of balance. Like the hangman is trying to change your perspective. You want to be able to move forward, but you're still, everything's kind of hanging in the balance. Like you don't really know where things are going. So this is, what you want most is to have some kind of action. Like you want to be able to move forward. The card of what you fear is, of course, the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands is, you hate the battles. You don't like the struggle. And then we also have the card of the Queen of Swords, which again was, what's going for you. And that's your, your logic, your intellect. You're very bright. You're a quick thinker. You do have the ability to organize your mind, organize things, just it's finding that time for some of these things. But again, what you have sort of working against you, as much as the Chariot is a card of success, what you have working against you is that you're not able to take action at this time. So something is holding you back for sure, and you have to kind of work through that. There could be a Cancer sign that's also relevant here, but it's almost like you could be pulled in too many directions, something along that line. But there is a certain amount of self-discipline that's required with this card. So it is still a reminder of go for it. Do something with this energy or what it is that you need to do to move you ahead. This could be a sense of travel. This could also be, kind of moving yourself towards your goals in a very, I don't want to say aggressive, but in a very driven sort of way. But right now, like I said, it still feels like what's working against you is that you're not able to find the self-discipline to kind of act on sheer willpower. Even in turn, but it is still nonetheless a card of success. So I mean, once you're able to turn that around, this is where you're headed. This is where you're going to, get out of your own way. This is where you have a clear way of, finding a way to earn something and do something that is going to be a success for you. Where you take pride in what you're doing, because this is really a card of purposeful action and someone who is able to achieve their goals. The cards below that is, and again, this is still sort of clarifying more along the lines of what is working against you, is it's almost like you really want a successful union, whether this is a love union or whether this is just a significant relationship to you. It feels like that somehow is backfiring. So I feel like you want connection with, with someone in particular. Again, doesn't have to be a love relationship, can just be somebody that is quite significant to you, and you're not getting that. You're not able to move this ahead. The two, of course, is about trying to connect here as well and create some balance, but you're also in that space of, you can only move as far as you can, because it takes two people to really move a partnership ahead in some ways. So it's almost like a decision has to be made, and I get that more than once there, because the Chariot is also where a decision needs to be made. And this is also where a decision needs to be made. So there's some kind of a choice. There's almost like a black-white duality of sorts, where there's kind of an opposite kind of polarity going on here between these parties. So it's like one is maybe reaching out and the other is, shutting it down, something like that. But either way, you have something about a partnership that is out of balance, is what I would say there. And again, doesn't have to be love relationship, but it's some kind of connection that's somehow, in dispute. There is also something here about, cooperation that could very well, over time start to evolve, because these are still cards of, positive and improvement, although I do have it in more of the challenge position of what's working against you. So it's going to take some time before this really balances out. And again, the final cards out here as well that relate around your likely outcome is amazing. And the card is the Nine of Cups. So there is going to be something that's going to make you happy in this next 2 weeks. Some of you might resonate a little bit further out, but this is a card of, success. It definitely is speaking to something that you've wanted that's starting to get closer to you. it is bringing things to a conclusion once you get to the nines. Certainly speaks about an integration, because nines are all about that, and it is an attainment of some sort. So it's fulfillment on some level. And because of where it's placed, I would say that the Nine of Cups, like I said, I'll go through the clarifiers here as well, but the Nine of Cups is definitely speaking to something that's going to give you a feeling of you've achieved something. It's a wish. It's something that you've wanted that's going to show up here in the next couple of weeks. So I feel like this could be, a happy, maybe it is the happy connection. Maybe something, a token of some sort is coming through here, but either way, it's getting what you want. So this is something that is going to be, working out in your favor either way. So Nine of Cups, remember, this is about emotional satisfaction, and I don't see a lot. Well, I mean, I do see cards of success even in money, but it's almost like those are the clarifiers. You're not in that space just yet. You're still working on it, but it definitely feels like there is a delay, or there's been some kind of obstacle or something that's kind of held you up before you really kind of get into this space. So this is your likely outcome. And again, this is definitely something that is, trust your luck. Could even be something around finances to a certain degree. Like I said, for some of you, there could be a little bit of a lucky win, but it's not your main cards out. These are further out cards. The main cards were all of the ones up here. So Queen of Swords, but the main ones, of course, Major Arcana, is the Hangman, being stuck because you're in deep transformation with the Death card. But the Chariot, again, that's a major card, so you're still headed in a particular direction that's favorable to you. You're just not quite there yet. But the outcome will be one of success with the Nine of Cups. The other part of it not only is the Nine of Cups here, but we also have it coupled with the Page of Swords. So I feel like that Nine of Cups and that Page of Swords is an indication that you're getting your wishes. There is going to be some kind of a celebration here in this month. But I also feel like there could be something where you've made a decision here, probably toward the end of the month. Because I feel like when you make this decision, that's where communication or something becomes clear in some way, and you are using your mind to overcome the obstacle. And this could be in around a younger person here as well, because not only for those that it resonates with, you're all on different timelines, you're still dealing with the same energy, but again, it'll affect you all in more personal ways, not specific to the card exactly, but other than to say Page of Swords, again, could be a younger person. Sun also represents a younger person to me as well, but it seems like there is a more favorable outcome at some point here in this period. So because the Sun card is still operating in around something that is going to be a warmer, I don't want to say, like, I don't see big emotion, but something that's going to give you a more optimistic look about something. Like you have more of an optimistic look about something. And I don't know if it's because something becomes clear toward the end of the month that helps you to feel a lot more positive. But again, Leo energy comes through here with that, and it just feels like it enhances the card of the Nine of Cups. So it enhances the wish fulfillment. So something is moving forward, where you're getting some kind of clear message that is going to help you to feel like you have something more worthy to look forward to. Because like I said, the Sun card is where, the darkness kind of transforms itself here from the Death card over here. And then we get right back to the Sun card. There is some dramatic changes here. Again, this is further out, more of a clarifier, but it is definitely something that's surfacing here as some kind of undergoing a regeneration. Again, it could be around a relationship, but also it's, personally, I feel like you are getting clear on something where you've had to make a hard choice, and you are making those choices. So I'm also going to read your, this other deck that I have, which is really amazing. I was really kind of surprised to find it. It's actually a gift from my mom. So I am going to start with this one. So this one is actually the Literary Tarot, and this is I love the images on the deck here too. So we are starting out with the Three of Ink. It's a little bit different and the meanings are different, so I'm going to stay more closely to the meanings of the card with this particular book. I just got it yesterday, so I'm just going to focus on this. Like I said, this book and how it presents rather than giving my interpretation to it. So But otherwise, the card definitely speaks to momentum, confidence, expansion, growth, and foresight. So I feel like that is a good part of what's happening in this next 2 weeks. So it feels like the journey is becoming a lot brighter. Things are going, those restrictions are going to start to disappear. Because the card even indicates sunlight streams through the open window, bringing with it the sounds of the river and the birds. You contemplate all that lies before you and is to come. Indecision and hesitation dissipate like mist. So there is a decision of some sort that you are coming to with the Three of Ink. And then we get to the next card here, and this one is the Seven of Quills. So Seven of Quills is, I believe this one was Wands, but either way, again, the interpretations in this deck is different. So this is about where there has been lies and trickery or scheming and strategy, there's also resourcefulness. So I feel like you're in a space where you're being a lot more cunning and smart, about how you move forward, because this will help you to free yourself and get rid of some of the burdens. I feel like you are being a little more secretive at this time. You're not being overly overt about what it is that you're doing, but it is also a note. It says, like a clever black cat, you can sneak out of the way of trouble, but there's a limit to how many lies that you can tell. Beware your swiftly unraveling deceptions, or you may become a victim of your ugly impulses. So I don't know that this is really you, but I feel like this is really about being having been through some of this energy. And then we get to the card of Ten of Parchment, and I believe this is a very positive one. So lots of cards around family as well here. But the Ten of Parchment, again, sort of revolves around the same thing. It's legacy, it's inheritance, it's windfall, it's privilege, and it's affluence. So again, there is some really good signs here that something up ahead is going to move in your favor in a very practical way. It's something to do with money for sure. And I did feel like maybe not right away, but there is something here that's building on that. It's about don't waste your time with good-looking people and tennis champions. Invest in your financial situation until you can buy your own champagne cocktails or whatever else, or whatever else brings you joy and comfort. That's what this card speaks to. So when you become educated, it is very likely that diamonds will come your way. And the good thing about diamonds is they always look new. So relish all that sparkles. So there's definitely something that's very good that's going to be coming to you. I don't know if this is really but anyway, it'll be kind of interesting. Once I kind of get a handle of these cards, I'll be able to sort of deal with the meanings a little bit differently here too. But right now, just reading out what I have. So the Moon card, of course, in general tarot, there could be some things that have yet to come to light. So this is about illusion, intuition, uncertainty, confusion, and complexity, and secrets. So again, there seems to be a lot in this particular deck that revolves around secrets and things where you're just not sure about how you're going forward. But again, by the end of the month, I feel there is clarity. This card speaks to, with just the power of our imagination, we can conjure a path away from reality, leading us to a curiouser and curiouser world. But be wary, dear traveler, for if you choose to fall down that rabbit hole, you might never come back. So as the darkness of a new path falls around you, things might not be as they appear. If you want to know where you ought to go from here, take a page from the Cheshire Cat and allow your intuition to guide you. So some of you may be falling prey to your own illusions, and this is just a reminder that there's something that you are getting in your own way with. But the star is still an indicator that you're healing. You're still on the upper side of things. There's still, room for you to be optimistic because things are still moving in a space of gifts as well with this particular card. So there's hope, there's inspiration with that. There's faith, there's a renewal, there's healing and rejuvenation. In an old gloomy house lit only by candles, you shine in the dark, blazing a trail by the light reflecting off your pen. Your spirit calls out to its kin in the world, and when they meet, there's a flash, brilliant and extraordinary, showing you beauty and friendship and love. So even with the many hardships that you've endured, you have a gift that sustains you and longs to be shared, a path that beckons you forward. You need only remain courageous. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And we also have the Two of Quills. So the Two of Quills, again, this is in line with, I believe, the Wands, but it's still about a decision being made, which all the other cards also indicated. So there is, again, with that Hangman energy and with this one, a stalemate, a difficult choice. There's something that you're in denial about, and there's some hidden information that maybe you're not quite sure of, and that's probably why there is more of this energy of being at a stalemate or being indecisive. So are there any woes that Zeus has not brought to pass? By defying the powerful, you might suffer the most of all. If this is what fate has decreed, what can you do or undo? So this is a sign that there's something here that you are deceiving yourself about. That's what I'm getting. It says you might feel like armies are clashing at your gates and your fortunes are caught in the middle. Your actions will show what is in your heart, but you are forced to make an impossible choice. So there's something that you have to make a choice around that's deeply painful for you. And this could be a very close connection. And somehow you have to either sever yourself or separate yourself from the situation and able to move forward in a particular direction. So you are having to shift a priority is what I would say here. So the Seven of Parchment, this one is sevens, can be very lucky cards, magical sort of numbers here as well. But this one is all about harvest rewards, progress, perseverance, and patience. So the seeds are sown and the plans laid, hard work done and speeches made. Now is the time to reap rewards. Determined effort has brought you here, and with patience your labors will at last bear fruit. So like Professor Challenger, facing doubts and mockery, betrayal, and monstrous dangers, summon your courage and the confidence born of labor and hard-won knowledge. Obstacles may delay the rewards for your effort, but persevere as the professor does, and you will reach your goals. So you are in a space where you don't believe something is going to happen, and you're being asked to push forward. So that is that particular deck. I've got one more little set of cards I just want to read to you here as well, which are the Wisdom of Avalon Oracle cards, and this is your advice. So the card of the Swan, this is about transformation and trusting the psychic gifts. And I feel like that's, like I said, we've already kind of gone through that. That's basically where you're at right now. So you're in a space where you're really trying to understand yourself and how to kind of move yourself from one state to another. So how do you kind of move from a place that's dark and ugly into something that is going to be much like the Swan, where you can actually see something has been life-changing and that you've actually changed so much in the process. And you may still be undergoing these changes, but you're not going to be able to recognize yourself in the end, with is what the card indicates. There's also something here about honoring your change, so it's something that you change is inevitable, but it's also about giving this time and space and allowing yourself to kind of look back in the mirror and say, this is who I am and this is who I want to be. And, the divine will sort of show up here and allow you to kind of help you to love yourself a little bit more here. It's a card that reminds you to trust your intuition. You have a lot of psychic gifts going on here, and there's definitely an ultimate change ahead for sure, and some very big decision. But you have transformed in such a way that you won't really be able to see yourself in the same light. We also have the card of the butterfly, and of course that goes in line with all of this. There's some really big transformation here that's taking place where, you're finding a more beautiful part of yourself, or you're seeing more beauty in life. This is where beauty is in the eye of the beholder, all of that, but it's also about looking into your dark places and trying to find some of the good things about it. What are some of the positives when you look back, and what is the mystery? Take a look at the mysteries and see how beautiful it is to have a mystery and not have all the answers, so that you can just take the next step. And not knowing what it is, you can still be grateful for the fact that it's a bit of a challenge, it's a bit of a puzzle, and there's a mystery that's at hand here that you get to participate in. We also have the card of love. So I feel like whatever you do, act from a place of love, something that's congruent from, your heart space. But it's also a reminder, love yourself, all of that. And I feel like love heals in so many areas. So despite whatever it is you're challenged with, always be, true to your beliefs and your it's just that you sometimes will need to place up some boundaries here, so as not to let yourself get too over, too what's the word I'm looking for? too heavily wound up in some of the energy that's around you, because sometimes it's not your own energy. So again, it's a reminder to show kindness and compassion in a situation and shift your perception with yourself and to those around you, because everybody is in the space of trying to grow and figure out themselves as well, so that they can be in a place of empowerment. And this is just kind of a marker to remind you of that. So stay connected to life, stay connected to yourself, and love, of course, is unconditional. So that means to be respectful, not only to others, but respectful to yourself, and see everything in life as kind of a sacred moment. These are memories, these are things you don't get back. And when you look back, do you want to look back and regret saying, oh, I wish I'd have said that, but now the time is gone and the person's gone and whatever. So make sure that whatever those last words are, or whatever those memories are, that you're acting in accordance to, from a compassionate, kind place, because that is where you're going to have transformation. Because eventually, whether or not somebody sees it in that moment, they will eventually. And I feel like with the card of the bee, that's also a reminder that you will have success over time, because there's luck on your side and there is going to be a victory in a round of love situation. So this is where you've put in the hard work, you're building the dream. There is definitely a symbol of luck. And this is also a card of miracle. So it also speaks to, creating your own luck. So there's something here that you're going to be able to progress along a path, and make a dream come true. So you're going to get what you want, because you've been busy, like the bee. The bee is busy, and this is going to be a very fortunate time. There's something that's changing in your favor. And I feel like it's also about overcoming your fears, because when we get to the card of fear, this one is really, this is where I feel like that victory is you're overcoming your own fears. You're realizing that, you when you're overcoming your own fears, this is where you're starting to identify parts of yourself. And it's not about, like, for example, are you afraid of failure? Like, whatever those questions are, whether you were worried about success or the changes, anything like that, it's about reminding yourself, is that fear valid, or is this something that you kind of drum up to be actually true? So again, it's kind of that space of illusion where you're maybe creating more anxiety over a situation that's kind of crippling you, when in actual fact, there is some element that you may not be able to control here, and you just have to trust the way. So don't struggle with the fear. Look inside. Remember to act with compassion and light, and move forward in that loving space, because there's definitely, an inventory of tools that you can prepare yourself for situations where you feel like it's a critical point, or where you feel like you don't have a solution. So write it out on paper. What's the fear, and what is the worst case scenario, and what is some of the things that you can actually do to move something ahead. But either way, this victory is definitely overcoming your fears. There is some kind of miracle. There's something that you're getting here in this next little bit that's going to make you feel like you are, whatever your efforts were, and you did do the progress, you did put the time and energy into something, and able to get this gain. So anyway, that is what I have for you. And I'm going to do another one here in the next little bit, but that's what I thought I would do for the next couple of weeks. So take care. Happy birthday, guys. And I'll do another one for October and for the October birthdays here coming in. But either way, have a great night, and we will see you in the future reads. Keep moving forward. Don't ever give up. Sorry, I was just reading one of the comments there. Um, yeah, guard your peace for sure. And I think that you have to kind of stay away from chaos to a certain point, because sometimes some of the arguments really are just people in their own space, and they're not even really about you. So creating, walking into somebody else's mood, sometimes we take on that same energy, and it's really not our stuff. It's really not our energy. And usually it's arguments that are not going to move anything ahead. There's no negotiation. There's only one answer. And that's not really the things you want to engage in, because there's not going to be an answer. There's not going to be a solution. And all it does is cause more hurt feelings, because everybody wants to say their piece, and, and kind of get back with some kind of retaliation. And again, that's where we start to build up more karmic situations. So hopefully that helps you. But keep moving forward, guys.